Batsi, a warm welcome to the show. If you told this gentleman we are featuring on the show today that one day he will be creating gourmet meals from a culinary school that he owns and created, he wouldn't believe you. In our chat with him, he was very candid about growing up in Westbury, where substance abuse was part of the lifestyle of the youth. Kelvin also fell into the system and sold drugs, but he made it out, and today he shares his story. Once an alcoholic.
Every week once you get paid, you buy alcohol, clothes.
And a drug dealer.
Started selling drugs at a young age.
3 decades later, Kelvin Joel narrates his past with gratitude for being able to make it as an award-winning chef even when the odds were against him.
I grew up in Westbury. I think you know that it's known for all the wrong things. It's drugs and gangsterism. And unfortunately, a lot of youngsters actually fall into that trap, and I was one of the guys that actually fell into one of those, started selling drugs at a young age.
It was a norm for young boys such as himself to sell drugs at the time.
I think it was more peer pressure, trying to find yourself because of friends you hang out with. Because I knew, that at the end of that year, I made a choice to leave the drugs, stop selling drugs, and going back to school. So peer pressure was to a certain extent. So there was a guy that was about a couple of years older than us, a friend of mine. He was like sort of our leader. Then there was 2 of us that were younger. And well, the guys that were selling drugs already had everything established. So we just fell into the system. And we were willing to sell for them. So it wasn't something that just happened. So it's a whole bunch of events that happens to brought us to that point.
While selling drugs, Kelvin was exposed to alcohol.
So I dropped out of school. That was in standard 5. Dropped out of school, started selling drugs. You know, with drugs comes money. And you started getting involved with. But the good thing was the guy that we were selling for didn't allow us to actually use drugs, so it was more just alcohol. And I think it was like every week once you get paid, you buy alcohol, clothes, the normal thing that kids will do in a location, to show off. And that was basically my experience with alcohol. Even
with distractions such as dealing drugs and consuming alcohol, Kelvin still felt the lack of family support in his life.
My mother was a single parent. There's 2 of us, but we lived in my grandfather's house. So at one point in the house there was 11 of us, and it was quite a small house. So it wasn't anything close by, so it was living from day to day. My sister and them just had basic jobs, working factories, and they were supporting us, plus they had to support their kids. So there wasn't really money to go around.
While searching for a place to belong, Kelvin found a safe haven in the middle of chaos, and this was a start to a whole new life.
When I was in standard 3, there was a friend of mine that lived already in the church, and we were quite close friends. So when I dropped out of school in standard 5, I knew about the church already, because after school we walk past it and go in, and I knew that when I decided to stop selling drugs, it was a matter of I can't go back home because there's no one that really can control me, because at that age doing things like that, there wasn't really control. It was mostly women. My grandfather was old, and I decided to go to the church, and I think that was basically, I knew I was doing something wrong, and there's more to life than actually what I'm currently doing at that point. So it was purely just making a decision.
While taking residence at the church, he discovered a talent he never knew he had.
When I went to the church, it was obviously, when you lived at the church, there was chores that you have to do, and mine was cooking. So I had to come from school, cook for the guys. And I think about 2-3 years into it, I discovered that I love enjoying it. I love doing it. So, and after that, I decided to pursue it as a career.
Kelvin took his cooking skills further by enrolling for a course in hospitality management. That's coming up after a break. Stay right here.
Trends follows fashion designers, cultural and lifestyle issues when and as they happen.
I'm always excited to see what the new fresh talent is bringing along. I'm always excited to see the direction that the designers are going in.
We celebrate the brilliant works of playwriter in Mpumalanga.
When everybody else talk about their own challenges, some talk about maybe the whaling that happens around Japan and other areas, I can be able to say, look, we have been confronted with the problem whereby our rhino population is going down.
We never miss previews of movies locally and abroad just to keep you informed.
So I'm a partner.
Welcome to the big boys.
Join Rufula Mula for that 1 hour weekly dose of arts and entertainment news every Friday at 9 p.m. on Trends.
Welcome back. We spoke to Kelvin about his transition to working as a pastry chef at a hotel to actually owning a culinary school. Watch this. Kelvin Jewell, a familiar name in the culinary industry, a role model to many who grew up with circumstances that discouraged them from dreaming. Growing up, he knew life of being a drug dealer wasn't a life he wanted to live, so he made the decision to turn a new leaf.
When I finished school, there wasn't money to send me to a college or university. So what I did was I saved money for 6 months, took all that money, got myself into Parktown College, studied hospitality management, and I've got a diploma in hospitality management. Yeah.
Soon after he graduated, life had another pleasant surprise for him. A mutual friend introduced him to a woman he calls a wife today.
Back at home and even growing up, I've always loved cooking. Grew up with my granny as well. So I've always been in the kitchen, cooking and baking and so forth. And I remember when I was younger saying to a friend of mine that one day I'm going to marry myself a chef, because my job was to come home and cook all the time. And I was like, one day I'm going to marry a chef and he's going to cook for me.
He actually introduced me to Charlie, and after school he said there's a girl that he would like me to meet. By that time, when I finished school, my main aim was to get myself out of my situation. So it wasn't really, so I met her, but it was like, not bad, she's we'll make a nice wife one day. And things went on, and I think 3 years later after that, then we actually came back from Ireland, we hooked up again, and I think that's when it all started.
Ashley is our Cupid. We started out as friends. It was for about 4 years or so that we were buddies. And before we knew it, it blossomed into something more than that. When I initially met Calvin, I wouldn't have thought that I would end up married to him. But yeah, life takes you into different directions, and just to find out that the man I was going to marry was right in front of me, that was quite an amazing thing for me.
Kelvin was open to Jolene about his past from the start of their relationship, and this helped cement a relationship where the two worked towards one goal.
When we hooked up and we ended up dating, we started catering for people and making wedding cakes and so forth. We moved in together, got married, started a little bakery out in El Dorado Park, moved to Regents Park, back out to Four Ways, and that's when we started planning towards starting up the school. So I literally just happily jumped ship out of the insurance industry. We've been doing this for about 4 years now.
The love of cooking isn't the only thing they have in common.
4 boys. Our eldest is 19 years old. He's our foster son. It's my late sister's son. And my eldest is 17 years old. And then we have the 2 little ones that are 10 and 9 years old. They're happy kids. Even though we're not the standard family where, you at home all the time and doing the normal day-to-day stuff, I think it keeps them excited, and also it drives them to be better as they get older.
Calvin allows his kids to make their own choices so that they can learn from their own mistakes.
I think being open-minded, trying to teach my kids something completely different what I was taught. I think it's proven. I mean, the stuff that we've learned in locations it's not working 100%. You know, there's a few guys making it out. So I think exposing them to as much as possible, and teaching principles of respecting people, being humble, and never give up to challenges. So those are the kind of things that I try to teach my kids. And you know, it's life, things happen, they still have to make their own choices. And I think that's the one thing I want to give them, is to make sure that they can make their own choices. Whether good or bad, they have to live with the consequences.
The proud parents are currently building a legacy for their children. They own a culinary school in central Johannesburg.
When I started the school, it was with in mind of creating a legacy. So I think the journey is beautiful so far. We've achieved a lot. I think when I started out as a chef in 2001, 2001, when I started out, it was to become a pastry chef, to be one of the best in the country. Achieved that, and 3 years before I actually resigned from my job, my goal was to create a school. I think the first 6 months, year was basically a mind shift, because we both had jobs. So it was about becoming business people now, and I think that transition was quite difficult, because I've been a chef for such a long time. So you think as a chef, you don't think as a business person, and you learn how to make money as well. So I think at the school itself right now, the past 4 years has been a great learning experience, and I think we're about to embark on a more interesting journey. The school is getting bigger, we're getting more people in. I think we're getting to a point where we're starting to begin to live our dreams.
Jarlene works side by side with Calvin with the day-to-day running of the school.
At the school, I'm actually co-owner with Calvin, and my role currently is principal. So basically just overseeing that everything is done as far as the students goes, them being registered with the City and Guilds group as students, for them to have the exams and everything done. Running a business takes a lot of commitment. And I think our family, our kids have come to understand that that's basically who we are. Our family has become our business, and our business has become our family. So a lot of the time you'll find the kids at the school. You'll even find the little ones in the practical studio. They'll be making marshmallows or chocolates or something, and they'll stand next to us selling stuff at the markets and so forth. But yeah, like I said, it's not a standard family where you're with the kids all the time. We'd love to have more time with the kids, but yeah, I think it's sacrifice at the end of the day, because as we said, we're trying to build a legacy, so something for our kids to fall back on as well.
A family that cooks together stays together. The couple isn't afraid to dream and share their dreams with one another, because they know two is certainly better than one. There's more to the culinary school than tasty meals. Calvin and Jarlene talk to us about the outreach program that they run at their school after the break.
Get all the latest news from the SABC's online news services on our website. Breaking news and in-depth coverage of everything from business, sports to politics and lifestyle. Catch the top news clips and watch live streaming of major news events on the SABC News YouTube channel whenever. Stay connected on the SABC News Facebook page and have your say on news that matters to you. And for the latest headlines and live updates from our reporters, follow us on Twitter. SABC Digital News, anytime, anywhere.
Technology isn't all scary. There's also fun stuff like gaming.
Lots of women do play games, whether it's on their phones or their tablets.
Then there are Africans who are using new tools to make other people's lives much easier.
We typed the whole CV on a small, QWERTY Nokia phone.
For all these and other technology and social media news, join me, Spumelele Zondi, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time on SABC News.
Welcome back to the show. The Johannesburg Culinary School is a platform for young aspirant chefs to gain an entry into the culinary industry. The school has opened its doors to anyone with a dream and a vision, regardless of the size of their pocket. Feast your eyes on this. A meal prepared with love and tenderness can turn a day filled with gloom into a bright and joyful day. Calvin Jewel opened a culinary school where young aspirant chefs can learn about the art of cooking.
I think it was more the times when we had impact on people's lives, when their lives change, and you see someone actually seeing the light and the potential of becoming. And I think that's one of the things that the school is based on. It's about giving youngsters opportunity to become, and there's a lot of them. There's a few that I can think of it, that you can see that it actually clicked on for them.
Calvin not only shares his knowledge and experience to those who can afford to pay for culinary lessons, but also with dreamers who know that their past certainly doesn't determine how they can shape their future.
A year ago, Spark came on board, and they paid for 32 students. And so what we did was there was about 4 people from Westbury that went on to that program, and I think by talking to them and try to inspire them and try to change their mindsets, they must change their mindsets towards life, and I think that's the only way that I can. That's one of the ways that I can think that we actually had direct contact with people in Westbury by training someone to become a chef. Yeah.
They come from all walks of life with dreams and drive. When they come to the school, they're encouraged to explore their full potential.
I met Zandile, and he told me he wants to become a chef, but he knows of a couple of guys that are quite interested. I said, okay, it will be a good idea for him to bring them, and we can filter through the guys that's really serious and give them opportunity. Well, the lessons, we try to keep them fun. Okay, so today we're going to make some pasta, fresh pasta. We're going to make a tagliatelle.
Nokutula is one of the newcomers at the school, and Calvin and his wife ensured that she completes her culinary course.
I registered for the 6 months course, which is culinary arts only. And then Chef Jarlene said that the 6 months course wasn't going to be enough. Like, I wasn't going to learn as much as I would if I was doing 1 year course or a 2 year course. So I went home and I spoke to my parents. They agreed. So I decided to do the 1 year course, but I didn't have the money, of course, to do the 1 year because the fees are expensive. So I sat down with Chef Jarlene and she offered me a scholarship. Love her for that. Yes, she offered me a scholarship, so I only paid half the whole course.
Even with the demands of running a culinary school, Calvin and his wife have managed to attend international culinary events that impress the international market.
I think the biggest highlight for me was when we were approached by the National Arts Council and the French Embassy to go to Paris. They flew us over to Paris for a month, and there we had to showcase South African cuisine. They took us to a gallery and one of the top culinary schools in Paris as well, where we did cooking classes with their students. And from that, we've actually managed to connect with another school in Dijon, Le Castel, and they now partnered with us, and we actually finalizing a student exchange program. So we've been over to them a couple of times, and they've sent their lecturers over. So we do a lecture and our faculty exchange at the moment until we set up a full-on student exchange between Dijon and South Africa.
The journey has sure been sweet since Kelvin started his career as a chef.
When I worked at a Hyatt hotel, I was employee of the year, so they sent me to the States. That was in 2001. I think that was a big highlight because I wanted to go to the States. And becoming a pastry chef. So it took me about 5 years at Michelangelo. So my first pastry chef position was at a so that one came with a lot of challenges. So you have to overcome a lot of obstacles in order to make sure you become recognized. I was part of the culinary Olympics at 22 Olympics in 2012. That was a highlight, and I think that was a point when we started a business as well. So it came with its challenges. I was on MasterChef. I did a challenge for the contestants. There was quite a few other accolades as well. And I think one of the things I always tell the students, I've been to more than 10 countries. And there was always someone paying for my plane ticket. Someone see the potential in me and said, listen, we would like to send you over there to go get more experience. So those were the highlights of my career.
So in the midst of it all, how does Kelvin unwind?
You know, as a chef, I think we enjoy simple things. Working with so much with food. One of the dishes, it's not really a dish, it's a tradition that I grew up with in Westbury. From a very young age, Cook Sisters, Cape Malay Cook Sisters. On a Sunday morning, it's a color thing. People in the community, there's someone selling Cook Sisters, you go buy Cook Sisters in the morning, eat them before you go to church. So those are the things that I always treasure, that I enjoy really. So.
A man of few words, but everyone around him have so much to say about him.
I love that he's so ambitious. He has a whole lot of drive. I find myself to be a creative person. So being a creative person, you do tend to sometimes just take it easy a bit. So it helps having someone pushing you. You know, you need to be nudged. So I think he's played a very important role in getting the business to where it is, simply because of his drive.
The hands that once sold drugs today make meals that warm our hearts and bring us closer together. What a great way to end today's show. Mouth-watering creations and heartwarming stories of people who dare to dream. Thank you for watching. Until next week, it's a goodbye from us here on Bophelong.